What's that?
Audience.
Testing. Yeah, it works.
I hear
it
me.
works.
Slightly bothers my OCD that your soon is just a little off center.
That's the point. I did
Ah!
it just
Terrible.
for you.
How dare.
You probably
Just for
did.
you. Hi, Internet. How's it going?
Hello.
We're back. We had a little break, but we're back.
I have after
Working
image
out
like
for
a
the
real
baby.
vampire.
Yeah,
Huh.
he's just so fast. That's what it is. Hi,
Okay.
wonderful Internet. I'm Raetog. This is my Chicago by Night game, and we're going to get this fun little party kicking pretty soon. Let's see. You haven't been here before. We're a few episodes in.
Few.
Just a few.
Oh.
Just a few.
I see.
Things are going to occur soon.
This seems fine.
And yes,
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It's all good.
Sure, it's fine.
It's vampire. What do we have to
Everything's
worry
fine.
about?
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
It's not.
Okay.
It's definitely
Okay, so what? Real quick though, before we start, when we make our Dwayne the Rock Johnson characters, for real, are we dressing up as them?
Oh,
yeah.
We'll just
Yes.
have like a piece
Yes,
of
we
tape
are.
right here. Pull this up the whole time.
I just like pull it.
Just a little tab. So you...
If you're doing
Little
Scorpion King,
teaser
you'll
for
need
the
dreads.
future, perhaps.
Oh.
Oh goodness, but yes. I'm Raetog. This is my Chicago by Night game. We're gonna run some Vampire the Masquerade tonight. Not a potential GI Joe one shot at all. There's nothing-
Everybody playing different versions of Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
His illustrious movie career.
Yeah.
I still can't decide if I'm going to be Fast and Furious or Jumanji, Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I'm always gonna be the one from
Don't
Doom
cry.
because I
Don't
have
cry,
to have
don't
the
cry,
face heel
don't cry,
turn.
don't cry.
I don't know.
Bonus character, Dwayne the Rock Johnson on the Graham Norton show, just to provide meta context.
Yeah.
See, and now that you brought it up earlier, Kiso, I kind of want to play Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Be cool.
Do it.
I just love that that
Fine.
is like his middle name that we cannot say his full name without.
No, it's.
Do you remember when we had rails and we used to stay on them?
I do. I have a little piece of paper over here that says what I'm supposed to say, and I haven't cared about it. But okay, getting a little back on the rails.
Okay,
gonna
but
do-
of course we're not gonna play all Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Christ.
Somebody's playing.
Fucking
Somebody's playing Kevin Hart as well.
And that's where the game breaks.
Oh,
Doesn't have to be the
here's
smartest one of
more
us.
meta for you. Are you ready? Dwayne the Rock Johnson was in a GI Joe movie.
Yes, that's why I suggested in the first place. That's why all of this started.
Oh, you just like
Right,
Dwayne the Rock
yeah.
Johnson.
Kevin Hart actually dressed up as Dwayne
was
the
a
Rock Johnson
point.
for this past Halloween.
Yeah.
Did
There
he
you go.
really?
There you go.
That's what
So-
I'm just gonna be Dwayne dressed as Kevin Hart, or the other way around. That's gonna be my character.
We can't tell. That's the
Okay.
question. It'll be like
Who knows, yeah.
It'll be like Bubba Hotep. We can't tell if you're an impersonator or the real
never-
thing.
I love that movie
Going to
so
say-
fucking much. I love that movie.
Also about evil undead entities. So it does fit. See? It's all
We're
planned.
looping back around.
Looping back around. But before we actually get started, I have a single PSA before we get into it. So if you guys are watching this later on after we've done the broadcast on VOD, tonight when this is airing on Twitch is the day right before, if you're in the US, the midterm elections, whatever. We're about to play a goofy game of goofy vampire stuff, all full of imaginary vampire politics. And some of it's probably going to get pretty spicy tonight, which will be a good time. Hopefully that'll be pretty fun. Personally, just between all of you, I am pretty over real life politics, probably because I work at a television station, and that's been going on for months. It's kind of hard to deal with. It's a bit much, and usually way too much. Still, I did want to say, before we get into this fake-ass imaginary vampire politic game, but that all you guys who are watching, in the US, at least, who can, go vote tomorrow. I don't care who you vote for. Just vote. It is important. What you think matters. You matter. You do. That's my PSA.
Well,
So, with that, and all of our G.I. Joe potential one-shot nonsense out of the way, are you guys ready for some
Out of the way?
out of the way? Yeah, is it out of the way? Is it really over?
out in the
Are we
open,
sure?
I think is.
Is it really over?
It can be. Are we ready to get some?
Nothing is ever over.
Are we ready to get some fucking vampire shit going?
I'm ready to be
Sure.
a vampire.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Mm-hmm.
is Tog quiet on the stream or just in my ears?
Just in your ear. He sounds
That's in yours.
Okay. Crank me up.
Okay, real quick question though.
Yeah.
Can Dwayne The Rock Johnson be in our vampire game?
And with that, we're rolling the open. Be right back, fuckers.
Yeah.
Only because I don't know what the fuck that
Good.
is. So
You
you know.
fuckers. But yeah. So that's a thing too.
Interesting. I'm sure it has meaning that I will definitely come to understand.
Eventually. So, here we are, vampire time. Last week's game was a little eventful. Little bit. Shit happened. Maybe Chicago is in a state of full-scale war. As a matter of fact, we're past the episode title. We can get going with this shit. Beep. It has been just under a week since last we left our band of vampires. Things haven't gotten any better. The attacks from the Sabbat's 7 fires were largely contained, but it made a statement. By the end of the ordeal, according to local reports of the mortal police sources, somewhere around 63 mortals died between the 7 locations of the attacks. More are missing. Cover-ups are in place, but it's big, and people are asking questions. More known kindred of Chicago have gone missing. Mostly the younger, the lost, those who have really sought shelter under the banners of the Camarilla or the Anarchs. Several of the young refugees have been sleeping in Nova's secure areas for safety before they go back out into the night in the mornings, under Magdalena's new open policy door of helping other kindred. Tonight, the Camarilla has set up a secure meeting to lay out some kind of plan. So that's where we're going to start. I assume, Magdalena, you'll be calling people to such things.
Yes, dear. I will be sending out my usual messages via the people that do them, and relaying that I received correspondence from Prince Jackson, and to meet at Nova before we head out.
Now, the question I have for you is this the usual meeting spot at Nova, or are we
For now.
talking the...
Yeah,
okay.
in a minute.
In a minute. All right.
Slow
I'm gonna
build.
need a cinnamon roll from the oven to fill me up.
So, to Nova we go. Right. It's early in the evening, and the club is just kind of getting going. There's a few mortals milling around. You know, there's probably like two basically nameless caitiff hanging out that rose for the evening after waking and like came up and thanked you before going back out into the night. Not like staying as a refuge in Nova, but just using it as a place to sleep.
Sure. I will give my normal platitudes and perform my, my gestures of goodwill and bid them to remember who took care of them and who took them in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Of course. For most of the rest of you, are you just responding to Maggie's summons as per usual? Is that how that goes?
Mercy has been up to some things this past couple of nights, and
Some
will
things.
be some things.
Damn
Some
it,
things. And
Sounds kinda
is
suspect.
probably easily found behind the bar working with Val on new drinks tonight. So when she gets her message, she's behind the bar and is just waiting for people to come and arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Have
Since
you arrived yet?
Mercy's already there, before everyone else shows up, Maggie will make her way over to the bar. Good evening, Val. Good evening, Mercy. Eventful week. It's been, wouldn't you say, Mercy dear?
No more so than usual.
Oh, that's quite interesting. As a little birdie told me that you've been entertaining some interesting company.
I suppose I've been researching the clubs in the area as usual.
Ah, yes, researching the clubs in the area. Yes. Well, give Genghis my regards the next time you're researching. Make sure
course.
that he is aware that should anything untoward happen to my daughter, I'll pull his arms off, and I can't decide if I'm going to play cricket or backgammon with his head, but one of the two.
Elbow.
I will pass the message along. He did mention that he would be doing his best to
Oh, I trust that he will.
share the news of I think he called it a date. It was very cute. He said your mother would hate it, and he wasn't wrong.
It's true. It is true. The joys of where we find ourselves these nights is quite interesting. Just, I will say, be careful, but enjoy yourself.
Are you encouraging me not to see Genghis and his friends? Are you encouraging me not to be seen amongst the cohorts of Miss Wainwright?
That's an interesting proposition, and it's actually rather pleasing to me that you've considered it. No, I don't mind if you're seen with them, or among them, or if they're seen with you here. I've made my openness known to the Camarilla, and they have seemed to take no offense these nights with the fact that we're all on the same side, for the time being at least. No, more so, you have had a rough year, let's say. More so than some. And I want you to enjoy yourself. So if that means that you let your hair down or do whatever you must, I encourage it. I would say don't do anything I wouldn't do, but I don't have time to tell you everything that I would. So
I will do my best to behave myself, but
just remember
I
that you are an extension of me. So let that make some of your decisions, but also know that I support you in having a little fun.
appreciate that. Genghis has a very loud mouth, I've noticed. However, it was in fact, I was looking for somebody to club hop, and who better than the man who had so much fun
Oh, he
at the party?
strikes me as the life of the party, ironically enough. And
I thought he might take me to some decent competition so I could bring things we might be missing here and maybe in new ventures to the table.
well, and I do love that you're thinking more like a Ventru than a Bruja, my dear, and that is lovely. Actually, that's perfectly wonderful. Point
Nicely
is
did, but-
that point is, I don't let him feel like he can dictate the evening. You're in charge. And if he has questions about it, he can talk to me.
I will let him know. Thank you.
Now, back to your drink making. I have a surprise for you and the others when they arrive.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I believe Roland, you were about to talk about your entrance. Does it?
I was not, but
Okay. Well, I'm gonna throw it on
But
you
I-
now.
You are
Like,
now.
coming in.
You're doing it now, fucker.
Gotcha.
Surprise!
Surprise,
Gotcha,
motherfucker!
bitch.
Surprise, motherfucker!
I
Oh,
can't.
this game.
My
Surprise?
computer's
What?
too slow to do that.
French fries, motherfucker. Sorry.
That's okay. All rise, motherfucker.
I was gonna say my next one's gonna be two guys, motherfucker.
It's gonna go on all night. It's gonna go on all night.
All right. Yeah. Roland will arrive in his car, just coming in. Not looking as fancy as he normally does because there's not been much fun to have been had recently. Everything's become a lot more serious in the world. Well, in our world, so to speak. So he's a little less flamboyant than he normally dressed than he normally is. So he'll just come in, make his way over to. If Maggie's still there, he'll make his way over to Maggie. If not, then he'll make his way over to Mercy.
Drinks are being made. Genghis may or may not have been talked about as you arrive. And I'm really interested to find out if James would have heard the whole, Genghis is real fun to hang out with as he arrives, if he arrives at all.
No. I mean, no, I wouldn't have heard it. Check
You
your
wouldn't have heard it.
messages.
How does James Kessler arrive?
Check your messages.
He's very sad
God.
when it happens. You know,
I
he
can't-
like cries afterwards.
Can't read all my, because I have like a bajillion messages. Yeah, sure, you could be. That's fine.
Okay, cool.
Just there. Oh my god. See, this is why I don't read my messages in the middle of this game, because it's too much bullshit.
To us? No.
So people are mostly assuming.
We're all assholes.
Yeah.
We know we're all assholes. We're just you love us. It's okay.
It's
We
fair.
love you. You love us. It's
Goddamn right.
probably a toxic relationship, but we're all here, so let's enjoy it.
I'm an asshole. Oh,
If we can, we convey ourselves in song. So, uh, everybody is more or less assembled. Save one. Uh, at some point, not too long after Roland and James show up, James doing whatever he's doing. Are you just staying out of sight for now? Is that the bit?
Yeah, I'm just in the back room where we usually meet, so I'm just
It's basically just waiting for things to get started.
crouched in the corner, being a fucking creepo.
Fantastic. And we'll go there shortly. But as you're all hanging out up in the area for the mortals, when 6 arrives, it's not actually alone. 6 arrives accompanied by Antonius Giovanni. Do I have this thing that everyone's seen? Yeah, I do. So, boop.
As soon as they walk in, Maggie will turn and greet Antonius and say, Tony, I wasn't expecting you, but as always, a welcome surprise. You had mentioned something was up. Would you like a more private place to discuss it?
Considering the nature, yes. Let's best be safe.
Wonderful. Well, actually, this will be a surprise for you as well, and perhaps something that you will find useful. So we'll make our way down to the familiar meeting rooms.
As I drag our asses over there. Rip.
As I pass Will along the way, I'll say, we'll be taking the back door this evening. I believe that you understand me. And, just hold my calls while we're away.
He nods as Will always does professionally and just goes to fucking do it.
Excellent. So as we enter the room, I will look for Mr. Kessler to collect him, as I probably would have been notified by Will or someone.
Yeah,
Yeah, Will would have told you that I arrived through the back and am already in the room.
Okay.
Unless he doesn't let me in, in which case I'll be in the hallway.
You are
He
you
would
are a
let you in.
known entity, so you would be let in.
Well, it's lovely that you've all gathered here. The familiar meeting places of Nova have been a staple of my time here, but I felt that it was time for a bit of an upgrade, and we will exit still in the basement, and I will push on the back wall of the basement, and it will open up to reveal a passageway.
Oh,
If
Okay.
you follow me, please.
Always full of surprises.
I do my best. I had this put in with the security systems and the new security detail, but it wasn't until recently that I had it linked up with its final exit. So we will make our way through the dimly lit underground passage to not very far and climb some stairs to an elevator that we will then take up to the new Nova apartment complex that is an entire building full of luxury apartments.
That is
of course they're luxury.
nice.
Oh,
Super
my.
nice.
So, dears, this building has been fully renovated. I've been working on it in a bit of secret for the last few weeks. I thought with such a growing family, and since I keep getting all of these children thrown at me, I would need a place to store them more securely. So, as per my specifications, this entire building has been retrofitted into high-end luxury apartments, secured and watched by my security detail that watches Nova. All of the glass in the building has been replaced with bulletproof UV-resistant glass, and just for good measure, and Maggie will push a button, and a bunch of metal walls come down and cover all of the windows as well. I have these on, it's 4 per floor, one for each of you if you choose to live here. If you would deign to. I know you all have your own personal spaces, but there will be rooms for you if you need it. In the lower levels, Mercy, you can house our musical talents or any other guests or acts that you might want to use. I will be using the rotating cast of talent to sample their fine qualities.
Of
Uh,
course.
But primarily, this is now just a larger space for Nova.
It's beautiful, Maggie.
I thought I'd add a few personal touches to it. And again, I thought it'd be good for my ever-growing children collection. So,
You know, when you say it that way, it's a it holds quite the appeal to be part of the famed collection of
the
Miss
Master's
Masters.
family, yes, well, it is a fun little group we've cultivated now, isn't it?
It's not bad to be part of the good family, says the Giovanni. And he looks outside and goes, "You guys got a killer deck too."
It's lovely, yes. I wanted some open spaces. It's so frequently that our kind find ourselves down in, crypt-like arrangements, which I've tried to make warm and cozy, but I always love a bit of fresh air.
Mm.
And,
And
if meetings go wrong, I've always got the wall to throw people over, so there's that.
there is that. Nova itself is actually located somewhat, a little bit north of the main downtown drag of Chicago, and it's even like the photos that you found, Matt, is perfect because you have a hell of a view of the
No,
main
those are
city.
luxury apartments in Chicago that I
Yeah,
found. Those
that
are
is.
legitimately there.
And we're just going to say that the camera is facing north
Yeah.
towards the rest of the city. Be right. But on to business.
Yes, Tony. Now that my announcement has passed, know that you and any of your people, of course, always welcome, as they have always been. However, I give the floor to you.
Well, it is mostly from me to you, although it does affect the coterie as well. Um, very technically, I must regret to inform you that I have to remove 6 from your service. Not out of spite, nor for the injuries she sustained in the last battle, because we were all fighting. Though that's a part of it. I must remove her from your service because 6 is no longer in anyone's service as a ghoul. She has been embraced into Clan Hekata, and if your coterie has room for one more full-blooded kindred, the decision is between you ladies.
Well, I must say that though you were mortal, your smell never displeased me, and now that you're kindred, I can only welcome you with open arms.
Six kind of chuckles a bit. Not much has changed, but
Oh, more than you realize, dear.
so I've been told.
But you'll come to find that on your own.
I'd pretend to be
I
helpful 6, but you
was
already
more or
know
less
more than
speaking
me.
relationship-wise.
Well, for what it's worth, Six, I've always considered you an equal, and I've always respected you, and now it's mere the same.
And I've always held you in the highest regard. I hope that never changes.
Ominous, and I love it.
So I hear there's a shindig tonight.
Yes, you do hear there's a shindig. On to point of business number 2. I was recently contacted formally by the prince that we are to meet in the place where we once met before. It is a formal war council. So it is official, everyone. Welcome to your first war. Or, for some of you, the second.
Sounds ominous. Should we dress up?
No, practical clothing preferred.
Wonderful.
At the mention of the word war, when you say that, I become more visibly interested than before, because I was pretty bored before.
This is why I use the word war.
I know. You know.
I've got to shank the keys for you every now and then, my dear.
Ooh, look at the dangly bit! Look at the dangly bit!
Oh, do you want to do this war crimes? Okay.
Oh boy!
My serious game!
I'm gonna burn some children, huh?
Oh,
Okay.
Never been.
War
Never been.
crime.
Never
Yes,
been.
beautiful.
With that, lovely discussion of war. The thing that I would like to, and Tony perhaps could speak on this. I believe you are familiar with how kindred wars go, such as myself.
Unfortunately.
They are far different than mortal wars. Mortal wars are fought for stupid, silly reasons. These wars are fought more brutally and in the shadows than anyone could really ever attest to. I have seen very powerful kindred fall. I've also seen them prevail. The thing that I wish to convey the most is that if you find yourself in trouble and you are alone and you are surrounded, there's a high probability that you're not going to make it. So don't find yourself in that position. It is now very serious, and there's really nothing that the platitudes of the Camarilla-run city can do to protect any of us, and that is why we've all had to step up. Tony, I do appreciate you seeing fit to embrace your loyal ghoul, as she will need it in these coming nights, as I'm sure that was part of the decision-making process.
It very much was.
It is a time that will test us all, and if we make it to the other side, you will all be far more experienced and, well, more well off for it than any of your brethren. Let's all try to make it to the other side.
It's never easy. Just survive.
Here, I was just getting comfortable.
Yes, I do apologize, Mercy. It's not fair for any of you to have to deal with it, but especially you young ones. It's more terrible. You're far less prepared than perhaps you should be.
I'm
But-
quite accustomed to it there. I look forward to it.
Well, stay with me. I will do my best. Or I will die trying. Of this I promise you all.
There's a voice in the back of Mercy's head like, what's the worst that could happen?
So much.
So much.
Come on.
So much can go wrong.
Right, I guess death isn't the worst that could happen at this point, in
No,
fairness.
no, it's not. Final death would be a release for some of the torments, especially with the enemies that we face.
Coming from a necromancer's point of view, no,
No,
not the worst.
much worse that can happen. As a point, how well have you educated your coterie on the Sabbat of who needs it?
Well, they're all familiar with my personal attachment to the Sabbat, that is currently leading several charges.
That's a different problem.
That is a different problem. Feel free to share your insight, Tony. I do appreciate it. I will say that the last few wars that I've entertained have been more Cam and Sabbat, Cam and Anarch based, and not so much this other faction. Though the fall of London did involve several. Well, never mind.
That was an experience. I'm
You're
sure.
telling me. Yes. Well, it made me leave. I never thought I would. So.
Antonius kind of turns, like glances at everybody, and basically singles out Mercy as probably the newest. Kind of puts his hands in his pockets and says, "All right, let's make this as easy as possible. We probably don't have a lot of time. How much do you know of the difference between the Camarilla and the Anarchs?"
A fair bit, I'd say, having danced sort of on both sides quite recently. Although I only have a recent understanding.
Understanding it all is worth it. One is more about control and order. One is more about freedom and individuality. Both hold the masquerade in high regard because we need that to survive, and both are very loath to admit how much alike each other they are. This coming from an independent clan of no official alliance, of course.
There are very few like me that are willing to put a foot in both courts, you could say.
The Sabbat, up until recent nights, was the one thing that both sides could come together on fully. The Sabbat, much like most early religions, is an apocalyptic death cult. Is the best way I can put it. They, to a kindred, believe that the idea of holding on to your humanity and even pretending to be human is a foolish concept. We should embrace the fact that we're monsters and act like it. If you're as young as I think you are, I would probably point you to 30 Days of Night for a great example.
Thank you. That is a good example, indeed.
I don't get that reference, but I
Don't-
trust that it's accurate.
Maggie, one day, when we have a moment of peace,
It's a Hollywood movie.
Well,
I will
the
show you the movie.
My last child that had me watch things like Lord of the Rings, and
That's a long
Part what?
one.
it was quite long. And I've been alive for a long time. It felt long. I knew Tolkien. He was very wordy. Anyway,
My point being,
Oh god.
I knew Tolkien.
I'm just gonna say that's canon now. I'm not even gonna fight that one. I'm not gonna fight that one.
I just
Even
every week,
even
inch
now-
and inch and inch. How much of my story can I flesh out?
even now, she just chooses to name drop.
I'm surprised, I wouldn't be surprised if you knew Christopher Lee back in his old, service to the
Sir,
Peppermint?
principally? Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
I always. Well. Oh, Chris.
Did he have musical talents?
A little bit.
Six kind of looks at Mercy and like, the man was in a metal band not too long ago.
It doesn't seem Maggie's type, but what can I say?
Oh. My types are varied.
My types are getting political bullshit over with as quickly as possible. Do you think we should get moving?
You know, I definitely agree. Yes, we should. Will you be attending, Tony? I would love to have you ride with me.
Considering the way things are these nights, for once, yes, I do think so.
I don't mean to be a bother, but I should take a moment and feed before we go.
I would recommend it.
Oh, we should make rouse checks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody.
Y'all wake up tonight, make your rouse checks. Six gotta make
Shit.
rouse checks
Yeah,
because she's
I
injured
do.
now.
Shit.
Mercy has to feed like yesterday.
Hunger 4. Oof. Oof. Success, success, success.
Maggie, are these kitchens stocked or?
I do believe there's a couple acts in the lower apartments if you'd like to pop in.
It works for me.
Since you are in your own territory and your own, you're literally your own haven, there isn't even a requirement to make a roll for feeding. I'm going to say
to share the herd.
Yeah, you could reduce your hunger down to whatever you would. I assume you're not killing anyone tonight, so the
No
lowest you
murder.
could bring it down would be down to hunger 1.
No murder?
These are all good people that are going to be performing for us, so no murder. Try the bassist from tomorrow's band. Oh, delicious.
This is where I make comments about some certain special guest that was on last week being a bassist. IRL.
You know, he plays the trumpet too, I hear.
I only heard he played the skin flute, but that's fine.
Punk, we love you. Somebody clip that. I need to show him later.
It would be better if he was a boner.
Oh dear.
Dude.
So, Mercy, you're bringing your hunger down to 1, I assume?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Mechanical purposes. While Mercy is off feeding, Tony actually takes the moment to stand with like Maggie at the rail. It is kind of weird seeing 2 old vampires just talking to each other. Although the others can hear. Me showing up is not normal. I don't know how into old accords and things you are, but with previously Clan Giovanni, there was an agreement between us and the Camarilla.
I'm familiar that your time is close to running out on that agreement.
It is. The promise of 1812 is running pretty close. And then we're probably going to have to negotiate something new.
Oh?
Well, the previous agreement was, in short, you don't bother us, we don't bother you, and we don't stick our fingers in each other's pies. But
That's terrible. I would love to share all of my pies with you, Tony. I think that maybe, well, at least I'll advocate for it for your sake. I could put my word into the prince's ear.
I've made very little secret about my wish to integrate more fully into Chicago. As I see it, if Clan La Sombra can do it, especially with the situations as is, we have a bit of a higher track record with the Cam, I believe. And the Anarchs, really.
I would say that's very true.
But
And you know that you always have had my vote.
I don't think now is the time to make that move, considering. But I highly doubt that at this point they would turn down our help.
No.
And we'll see what comes if things go well. If they don't go well, then we have an entirely different set of problems.
As a quick aside, did the prince formally invite you to this meeting of the War Council?
Amusingly. Yes. And also, if there was any concern in it before, the embrace was sanctioned as well. I think, if you'll pardon my expression, I think Jackson is quaking in his boots a little bit and really does need all the help that he can get. He hasn't looked particularly strong lately.
I've noticed very similarly to that end that, well, it's my understanding that Chicago, when they went through this the first time, before my time, he played somewhat of an integral role. It does not appear that he has been excited to have this back, which raises concerns both as a person of the blood that Jackson has, but also generally when you come to power as a leader, you want to remain that leader, and he doesn't strike me as someone that maybe wants to stay in power.
I know that he has schemes. I know that he has ambitions.
Don't we all?
I don't know precisely what they are, but between you and me, my intelligence says it has something, as it always does, to do with family.
Disgusting. Well, I mean, if he needs some time off, I can think of someone I'd recommend.
If it comes to it, and I get a vote, you know you've got my vote. And
If
with
it
that,
comes
he
to
actually
it.
goes and starts to, like, walk away with that.
Maggie will kind of turn to follow him, and she'll just kind of under her breath, but not really trying to hide it from present company, she'll say, if it comes to it, you know that I'll ensure that you have a vote. And continue to walk with him.
I would assume around about this time Mercy would have concluded the omnoming.
Indeed. Nomming, yes. Mercy will return, looking much better than before. A flush in her cheeks, even.
First roll of the night. Mr. Kessler, I assume you're just observing everything present.
I'm kind of slightly amused at, like, just like everything happening. I'm pretty bored. I kind of just want to get to stabbing stuff. Yeah, I'm just observing everything. I don't know when any of this information is going to be useful or not.
Fair enough. For you, first roll of the night, I'm going to have you give me a awareness and wits roll. Difficulty of just 2 because you are in such close range.
Awareness and wits.
Yep. I'll even give you a bonus 1 die because of specificities of who you are. Oh God, what is happening in my chats? All of my chats are just on fire.
This is what happens when you let us out.
When
When you let us out of the dungeons.
in proximity of the Giovanni, James. Guy's dressed pretty much how he always is. Very, like, it's black. It's all black. Kind of the same kind of suit complex that, like, you would see, like, that John Wick has popularized. The black shirt, black tie,
Right.
black whatever. But you do see, around the collar, up the back of the collar, there's a very specific chain around his neck that goes under the suit that you know for sure, just at first glance, like, those are dog tags. You just know it instantly.
Okay.
That's it.
And who is he again? Like he's part of Giovanni's like routine.
He is in ye olde VTM lore, Giovanni was a clan. They have been melded together with all of the other clans recently that did any kind of necromancy into a new one in this new edition. But
Yeah.
you would know that he is probably Six's sire/boss, and from the way he's been talking, he probably runs the Giovanni in the area, which probably implies underworld connections.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention to him because now I'm starting to get paranoid. I'm just trying to watch him.
The only thing different about the whole look beyond just like the black suit, you haven't ever seen him without a pair of gloves on.
Okay.
Black gloves on top of it. Doesn't touch
Okay.
anything. But if just keeping eyes on him, I will keep a note of you keeping eyes on him as we proceed. And it looks like you guys are going to be moving to the site of the meeting now. Anything else to do or discuss before you do
yes.
so?
On the way down, I will kind of catch up with Six. And I'll say, well, in light of your new status, how wonderful it may be, I suppose I should ask if you would like to drive or if you would like a chauffeur. I could make Stibbins do it.
If you want something done right, you do it yourself.
I was really hoping you would say that because he's fucking been on my nerves this week. All
Can
this
tell.
blah 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 about the blood and the bone has really messed up the garbage truck, madam. I hate it. He's such a whiny little bitch. I say clean it, do it right, and then you don't have to worry about it. But he's fucking. Thankfully, I have Will. Anyway, all right. Well, you can drive. Tony, you'll ride with me. We can fit one more in the SUV, and then Roland, you came in your own car. Would you like to take that, or would you like me to have Stibbins chauffeur you?
Mercy will lean over to Roland. I don't recommend the latter.
Seamus, you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
They were talking to
You're
you.
Roland,
Talk to her.
friend.
Oh.
Your friend.
You are
He was like,
Roland.
I was busy doing memes.
Sorry. I zoned out for a second. What's
Roland, if
Hi.
you would like to take your own car with a couple of the coterie, that would be lovely. Otherwise, I can have Stibbins drive you in one of
no?
mine.
I can certainly drive.
Okay. Mercy, would you ride with me, Tony, and Six, please? And then Roland, you and James can share your vehicle.
Of course.
Fantastic.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
He said you were so still right there. I couldn't tell if your camera froze or if you were.
No, No.
Shock.
Fucking horror, of course. Yes.
Beautiful.
It is a
Fucking-
horror game, you know.
Absolutely.
I'm shipping for the audience. That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely fantastic.
Power
The
move. Power move.
Power move for the power couple. So, to the road they go.
Fantastic.
Why must you torment me now, child? So,
That what children do.
that's what she does.
Yes.
Yes.
Her little
Ask me how
face.
I know.
Mm-hmm. So, to the road that goes. Chicago's definitely, as last time, tense. Every street you go down, it's a little more. You can kind of feel it as a predator when the herd is spooked. And it feels that way. They're all looking around. Every one of them is stopping and looking down the alley before they cross the sidewalk in front of it. Every one of them is looking behind them a little more than they normally would. Fear is palpable in the air. It's only been a little bit since the incident that police and everything has gotten involved with, just attacks. Nobody is sure if it is coordinated or not. There's talk on the mortal news of gang wars and drug wars, and there's theories flying around left and right. None of them seem to line up with each other, which you suspect has probably been
It's
manipulated
intentional.
by other kindred to lean that way and obfuscate things.
So, are you saying that gangs and gangsters would be given a wider berth than usual currently?
I
Asking
would,
for a
and-
friend.
Also, goblins raided us, so hi.
Oh wow!
Hi,
Hello.
Goblin. Hello,
Hello,
Goblin.
friends.
Hello.
It's so good to see you. Thanks for coming back. Woo!
Ah.
Why do you
Hell
like
yeah.
it here? Why are you? What are you doing?
So
You say, why do you like it here?
Goblin.
What are you
He keeps
thinking?
coming
Story-
back. We don't know
You
why.
fool.
We're not sure what you see, but go. Thank you.
Thank you.
But we
And
like
So
it.
Some
Yeah.
people just
Storyteller.
really like watching train wrecks.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes
Six.
you
Dumpster
can't look
Yes.
away.
fires even.
What's the question?
So it's kind of the general feel how like all the major cities were during the pandemic, where everybody was afraid to go outside.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a lot
like,
of that. There's a lot
Crime
less
dropped
people.
significantly.
I don't even want to say that crime actually dropped significantly. I feel like the aura of fear in the city tonight is almost. You can tell some of the mortal, just like regular Joe, average like robbers are using that.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very much like a city that's top is about to blow off. It's definitely, it's a little uncomfortable to just go through and see it. As vampires, it's very easy to just go into a place, just meld in with the community, and just take whatever blood you want. It's easy. It's why vampires hang out in cities. Not so much these nights. Mercy, you got a nice, good drink because you were in a nice, controlled area where everyone felt safe. Outside, you can see the effects already that besides the mortals are not feeling great, that other vampires are probably having a harder time feeding, just being themselves. But you drive on. And eventually, you make it towards the docks that you did last time. Previously in Chicago, they had been doing court at their ancient and like Gothic architecture public library for the longest time, but that has shifted in recent nights to something a bit more, as I adjust this stuff, something a bit more mobile and a bit more protected, as it were. You park at the docks at a certain point, and you are escorted to boats, which take you out to where Prince Jackson has been keeping court lately, which is a small cruise vessel called the Spirit of Chicago. There are not all of those people in the picture depicted on it, but that's about the size of the vessel. And you are literally ferried. Do you have to do this right now?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Internet. This is
Cat
for
butts
you.
are like, that's how you get internet famous.
Do you want my not safe for work thing to cover it? Like,
This is your
Oh, the
fault.
extendo leg.
This is your fault. She's a ham. But
No, she's a cat.
you don't know her like I do. But you are all ferried out to the Spirit of Chicago. The inside of the ship is actually a pretty fancy-looking space. It's a nice little ship. There's a
Why is everywhere we go fancy? Ugh.
Listen.
Welcome to the cam, baby.
you got a Ventru
'Cause-
Prince and a
'cause-
Ventru
Because most
coterie
people
head.
have nothing but time
Yeah.
and money.
Mm.
Time and money.
It's true.
I already hate everybody that's on this boat.
We love you too.
Just in case there's any confusion.
You are taken onto it. One of the things that James takes less hatred towards, definitely not military members, but there are definitely armed guards aboard. Suits, earpieces.
Yeah.
Without even needing to make a roll, you can definitely tell that they have the shoulder harness that are concealing a pistol.
Yeah.
All well built, all strike you very much less of the soldier type than the mercenary sort of type.
Yeah.
Hired guns, the stances they have are less proper and tactical and more important and socially
more-
imposing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
And what they think is professionalism is really just dumb. Standing with your freaking hands folded in front of you like a dummy. You can't access your weapons fast that way. Moron.
And that's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly that. With the sleeve pulled up just a little bit to show off the Rolex on their wrist. It's
Oh, Lord.
it's ostentatious.
Oh my god.
My
But-
paycheck is bigger than your paycheck.
And it isn't really a very far guess to tell whose ghouls/guards these might be. Speaking of ghouls, it's been announced already, but as you all are walking together, it's the first time that you guys have walked alongside Six and not heard a heartbeat. Small thing, but now everything seems to be a little bit more unified. Just a
I'm just
little
as broken as the rest of you.
Don't even think you compare, dear. But
Optimism.
Joking! Sorry.
Aboard the ship, as the guards do let you pass, after a quick check and much, to James' dismay, much touching of ears as they speak into their earpieces.
Why?
We're being
Get it.
subtle.
You get a throat mic and you don't have to do that shit.
It's almost as if
It's
these
all
guys are-
posturing, man. It's just for
I know.
almost as if they're several.
Roland is like, God, pretentious.
and then I'll just like turn and look at you like.
There's a tiny little music sting as they grow slightly closer together. I can't force these things. I want to, but I can't force these things. So, aboard. Probably one of the first
turn back time. Sorry.
One of the first people that you would probably encounter before running into this meeting, because there's a lot of faces in this meeting, and there's going to be a lot of handouts popping up just for reference, is a face that you know already, one of which being Sheriff Damian.
Perf.
He, first thing he does is walk up and just shake Maggie's hand.
Lovely to see you again, Damien. As always, a pleasure. Glad
Very
to see that you're well.
Relatively, he says, because he doesn't look particularly great. His skin is a little more pallid than usual, and under his shirt you can definitely see like a line of some kind of injury coming up. He's a little stiff, and he's definitely, again, no rolls required, definitely injured. As it is clear that he has been in some of the fighting that's been going on. As the sheriff, it's kind of his job.
So newbie vampire here.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's injured, that means that something happened tonight already
Not necessarily.
to him. Okay.
So
You might be taking a long time to be able to heal
Heal.
from it.
More extensive damage, but
Yeah, more extensive damage actually takes.
Some might even say aggravated.
Takes
I
multiple nights to fully heal if you continually work on it, and you have the resources and blood to continually work on it.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mercy would sort of kind of know that, mostly from watching how James had to deal with it. But she hasn't had to experience that yet herself. Other notable, as he leads you kind
Mercy
of
could
into
help.
yeah.
I'm just kidding, Maggie. Don't bite me.
Wait, what?
Do.
I was writing in my notes. What did
She
you
went.
say?
She went. I could help him heal.
Jesus. Your kindred
Mercy
teenage
is
years have shown up quite quickly.
What can I say? It's the rebellion in me.
That's fair.
Not
I
wrong.
always knew you were going to be. You should see your sister. She's fuck all. I don't know where she is. It's fun.
So he kind of nods to everyone and gives a quick there's a quick up and down look at Giovanni.
He's with me, dear. I vouch for him.
He kind of closes his eyes a little bit and like, I know, he's allowed. Come on. And kind of informally, which is weird for the camp, leads you down into what would be like this little dance hall area that is behind him. And gathered there are notably very few ghouls and people that could listen in, which are mostly on the outer railings looking outward. But inside there are notable kindred and a good chunk of the Primogen Council are actually assembled, much like Mercy's first night, as it were.
What an adventure.
Going down the line, one that you've heard of, Mercy, didn't really talk to very much. The Primogen of Clan Bruja, an older bronze-skinned man named Sirtas. Rumors are he's actually from that Greece, that he's that old. And there are rumors that he has a college for debate somewhere. um, standing around.
Mercy spent decent time with him. She'll give him a little polite nod.
He nods back. Um,
Maggie will do the same to all of these people as well.
mhm. Going further down the list,
I'm flattered.
uh, from the primogen of Clan Malkavian is still here. A woman named Bronwyn. Definitely nods at Maggie. There's clearly been some interactions before with the look that she gets.
Remember her predecessor.
Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, a not very well seen, except for I think Maggie might have been the only one that has seen him at juncture to the point. Yeah, only you are in there, which I actually have to change the permissions on this. The head of Clan Tremere is actually present.
Oh,
Abraham Desaad,
yes.
with
I
his
recall.
He's
cane
pretty.
and his mage-looking ass.
Had
He's standing
Racomia.
very, very off to the side, kind of definitely on the outside, with no change of guise or anything. In a nice suit and hat is Khalid of Clan Nosferatu. Who's nice clothes. He is very much a Nosferatu and showing himself in this kindred-only kind of situation.
Really quickly, I have a question.
Hit me.
On the night or thereabouts that Mercy was turned and then made her first appearance in front of the prince, there was either a ghoul or a very meek kindred hovering beside the prince who performed the ritual, who held her hand to do the ritual. Who was that, and is she here? Who was that is the me question as a player. Is she
I can
here?
pop
Eric,
this.
Eric, though.
Eric, though, is the person. I will briefly pop them up to remind you that their looks.
Yes, thank you.
And she is not present this evening.
Thank you.
Just want to quickly point out that I'm occasionally making snide remarks under my breath towards Roland about the dumb security
The
bodyguard
bad security
people.
guards.
It's happening!
Yeah.
It's happening!
I'm gonna. At this point, I'm actually gonna have to go back to the shelf behind me and get my dice to see if people are gonna get pissed off about that.
Oh, baby.
That's gonna be fun.
I'm not paying attention because I am kind of, as we pass Khalid, I will ask him specifically. It's lovely to see you, Khalid, as always. Have you heard from Edith these nights? Is she doing all right?
He kind of clears his throat, and it is definitely a little on the raspy side. She is very secure in her very pretty bolt hole. She doesn't go out much these nights.
Wonderful. If there's anything that I could assist with, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I think that's going to be the order of the day.
Very true.
The people who are checking on security.
Anyway, but yeah, Roland will respond by chuckling and just shake his head a little bit.
The only one of all of the people that you have seen that seemed like they know anything about actual security or perhaps combat is also present. Those of you who've kept up with the stuff of the courts know her as the primogen of Clan Gangrel, which is weird because technically, in the rest of the cam, that's not a clan that's a part of them anymore.
Right.
But you see, kind of leaning against a strut that kind of gives like a good half cover to her, and looking outside is a Native American lady who simply has the full persona of not giving a fuck.
My
But
favorite so far.
her eyes are on a swivel. She's
Oh yeah.
keeping things very, very appraised. Haven't seen her much.
He came to the party.
Yeah, she
He
came to
was
the
at the
party.
party.
Did come to the party.
Pleasantries exchanged.
Mm-hmm. You get to see, in his usual garb, very like traditional African, with a big, very wide, kind of shitty smile, specifically towards the Giovanni who is present. You see from the ministry, previously known as the Followers of Set, Marcel, who is currently sitting in a state of speaking for those who do not have a speaker in the Primogen Council. They're technically not part of the CAM, and he speaks for those who are not. And the people that you do recognize a little bit better, beyond Sheriff Damien, the newest member of the Primogen Council is, as expected, leaning back in probably the darkest corner, arms folded, Adrian Tars of La Sombra, owner of a certain club that Mercy's a big fan of. Speaking of shadows, why? Say hi to the internet.
Meow.
I'm here to take my rightful place as storyteller.
No. So I'm going to go through and start minimizing these into a manageable thing because there's a lot of NPCs present.
Now they're kind of gathered around, like outskirts, looking in. Is that what is happening?
It's
here
kind
with
of a
these?
loose circle.
Are those all the Primogens that are here?
No.
Of the Primogen
Why are you worried about
Council.
somebody?
Yes.
So no Annabelle.
The answer is
So no
yes.
Annabelle.
Annabelle and Brett Stryker of Clan Toreador are notably not fucking here.
Interesting.
And finally, of course, of Ventru, you have standing kind of at the epicenter of this standing circle. You have the Seneschal, so second in command of Chicago, Alan Sovereign, unsurprisingly, Clan Ventru. And right next to him, Prince Kevin Jackson.
Just as a note, as they pass Adrian, Mercy will give him a much more fond smile as opposed to the polite one. And just, a pleasure.
It's good to see you again. Did you like how the party went?
Oh, it was lovely. Couldn't have done it without you. Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, we always enjoy ourselves.
Good, good. I hope to do more like it again.
Good. Avernus is always looking to see what we can do. For the community. We're all in this together, right?
Of course.
As I organize all of these pop-ups. Jesus. There's a lot of folks here.
I've made it very small so everybody is standing in a circle around the space.
Fun fact, if on these handouts or your character sheet in Roll20, if you hover your mouse over the name and double click on them, it kind of minimizes and fades into the background. You can drag it around.
Oh, I see. That makes
So you
me
can
get
have
it.
multiple things on the screen at once without having to open and close a billion things. Yay, roll 20! Thanks!
Thanks, friend.
So all the kindred are assembled. Uh-oh.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. So, with that, Mercy would have gone up to Adrian Targe. You would know Clan La Sombra, and as James is a little more educated than a lot of the other kindred, and also that I know that Kisogo has played Vampire the Masquerade before. La Sombra used to be a Sabbat clan.
Mm-hmm.
They are now not anymore, at least officially.
At least that's what they say. Sorry.
No, that is exactly correct. Welcome to Vampire Politics. So, this usually is round about the halfway point of our game. Would this be a good point for everybody to stop and take a break before we dig into some vampire politics? Or do you want to keep
please.
going?
The animals are starving to death. They do not understand daylight savings.
Uh-huh. I have a cat that also needs
Get them
She's
a
in here.
fucking clock.
Right?
So,
Sorry.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back to this, and there's going to be all the vampires in one room in one place.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong with all these megalomaniacal personalities?
And everybody's armed. It's gonna be fine.
Everybody's armed. Speaking of that, when we come back, I want to know what shit y'all brought, because that's going to be fun. But we will cover that when we come back. 5-10 minute break, guys. We're going to be right back. Thank you. Stick with us. We'll be back soon.
grown-ups. We can handle being unmuted.
Not true.
It's definitely not true.
I don't know why you guys let me on the internet, honestly.
Well, and that's where that rash was. Like I said, very itchy.
Yeah, well, when the doctor says that, you just gotta
You
listen.
guys are assholes.
I was like, "Where's that cream gotta go? Where?"
Oh, suppository means what?
I'm just saying, it sucks when you turn 40 and you gotta get the woo up there. Woo.
Welcome back, everyone.
We're all assholes.
We all have them, yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed.
True.
So,
Yeah, but you should definitely get that looked at, Sogo.
his poker, like, I would never play poker against that man.
No,
He's got
you
the best
can't.
poker face of all
You
fucking
cannot.
time.
Yeah, that man's actually 300. He's the only real vampire in the room, and
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
Sorry, I don't mean to suggest the other of you are not possibly, ancient beings of darkness. Just simply that one of us is the best at lying.
Several of us may or may not have played Vampire the Masquerade when it was first released, so we know. We know. Why? So, as we are here, upon the literal spirit of Chicago, all the assembled vampires kind of mill around a little bit, talking to each other. Malkavians, Primogen, Bronwyn, and Khalid are kind of a little like side by side, like talking to each other. Both are known to have reasonable spy networks. And everybody else just kind of seems to be very standoffish. Rosa Hernandez definitely will occasionally walk from one end of the place to the other and look out. Just keeping an eye on things, finger on the pulse. I hear this cat. God damn.
Heard the cat that time.
Feed the cat.
Give her some chicken.
The void comes up and the food is gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's some La Sombra shit. So, there's a few minutes before Alan Somfrin and Jackson walk up. And their presence basically dims down the chatter between everyone. Jackson looks around a little bit, basically having called the meeting to order without having said a word. Raises his chin. As you know, all of you, the Sabbat has returned. Sprung its trap, spreading chaos and fear. Chicago is the crown jewel of the American Camarilla, and we will not allow this to pass. The country and the world is watching our actions. If the Sabbat shows
He's threatening us. Look at
Yep.
Sogo.
Is that what James is doing this whole time? Please say yes. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Bored with
Yeah.
politics instantly. If the Sabbat shows up in other portions of the country, of the world, the Camarilla elsewhere will follow our example. So we must show them that we are not so easily toyed with or mocked. The Camarilla of Chicago, under my domain, is officially at war, and this war council is to dictate what we should do in response to this. Have any of you, he glances across the assembled high-ranking vampires, have any of you suggestions? A couple of ghouls walk in, Same suit, earpiece, asshole look. And a table is sat down in front of that you saw the previous time you were on this ship. Map of Chicago's on it. Very notably, his business suit and the jacket over his business suit at his belt is what looks like on Prince Jackson is what looks like a straight up medieval broadsword. Have any of you suggestions for how to proceed from this?
He's looked at the Primogens, correct? I'm taking it
slowly
as
going and looking across the room, and to start
with Maggie's knowledge, she would. This isn't when she's supposed to talk. Yeah.
She could. Well, here's the situation. As he looks across, the higher ranking than Maggie that should get first dibs, for the most part, just kind of like freeze up and don't necessarily say anything. The only one that doesn't seem to be even looking in his direction is the gangrel, who is just still keeping eyes out. And in the absence of that, there is an opening for Maggie to speak if she wishes.
Oh, Maggie wishes. So he'll wait, or she'll wait until Jackson kind of pans across, seeing that no other high-ranking vampire will kind of meet the request. And taking that opportunity, Maggie will step up. And she will say, Prince Jackson, I believe that one of the best ways that we could fortify our defenses and address the present threat that we all face would be to make sure our houses are in order and to address any issues that may be creeping their way up. I believe... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, eyes narrow on you. He is naturally intimidating. That red eye thing going on in his portrait is ever present. He eyes Magdalena, and it seems like for a minute there's like nobody else in the room. You have suggestions for how to do that?
I have a question. Well, Maggie thinks if it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Said you're right, naturally intimidating, right?
Yep.
So would you say that it'd be fair to say that Mercy would be vaguely intimidated by him?
I mean,
in this moment,
that's Mercy's choice. He is the highest ranking kindred in the city, and if he just casually said killer,
people would jump to action. Sure.
Yeah.
Feeling vaguely intimidated, there's a very fancy looking sun on Mercy's Red Mercy's neck that she begins to fiddle with as she becomes more uncomfortable under the scrutiny of the prince.
Mercy isn't the only one doing little ticks like that either. People paying attention will see. That's starting to go all around the room. But back to Magdalena.
Sorry, Meg.
This defense crap is stupid!
Is that said out loud? Please.
Yes.
Away from James.
There are suddenly a bunch of eyes looking at James Kessler. One or two of the faces are smirking.
Look, we know who the enemy is. Alright? We need to find them. We use our connections with the police, do cover action, conducting police raids under the guise of looking for drugs and rooting out drug dealers. We do it we put it under the guise of city cleanup, and everybody would be behind us. This is so fucking stupid. We're gonna sit back and wait for them to attack us so we can react. We need to be proactive about this. This is dumb. Standing around talking about this shit in a committee is dumb.
There is a single loud laugh from the corner. Take a wild guess who it is.
Gangrel.
Yep.
As my associate, Mr. Kessler, has said it, we need to be aggressive. It's what I was going to propose. There is definitely a rot within our city, and I don't believe it's all on the Sabbat.
Oh, that means so many things.
No, it's a bunch of old vamps sitting around their hands, too afraid to act in any way because they're afraid of scaring off the fucking herd.
At that, Jackson does narrow his eyes, and there's a moment where his voice does boom out. Respect in this place. We're going to work together here. If action is what you want, action is what we will do. You suggest going through this via police channels. Have you any?
Isn't that what you much more connected and powerful vampires should have connections to, as opposed to somebody who's brand new to the city and already can identify the capability of inaction that this Camarilla in this city is capable of taking? Or not taking, as it were.
For a minute, the prince's hand was actually sitting on the handle of his sword. And then after that, he says, "That's what I thought," and removes it, as if he was momentarily threatened and now is not. The gangrel, Rosa Hernandez, does speak up. As I scroll around in my notes.
Mercy will move to stand beside James. Not quite getting into his personal bubble, but just, he's making bad choices, but she kind of likes the guy, so she's gonna back him up a little bit.
Hernandez speaks up. If we're going to hit them, we have to find out where they're coming from if we're going to take an offense.
If I may.
She looks and nods.
I, being new to the city, have little, as you guys in the respected elders of knowledge in this city, but I do have some. Cabrini Green seems to be off. It has gone through a renovation of sorts recently, yes? To my understanding?
Jackson actually speaks up and says, "I think the proper term would be unsavory, but gentrified would be the right term."
Either way. But there is still ghost stories, lots of them. There are still places in Cabrini Green that are you don't go there because it's haunted. If there is somewhere to start, there would be a place.
To that end, Prince Jackson, whose territory does Cabrini Green fall under?
In that case, would be closer to Ventru interests, as it is just off of the Gold Coast.
Well, and not to bring up any old wounds, but we did have one amongst us who put us all in a bit of a position, shall we say. Nevertheless, the point that my coterie makes is not one of inaction or sitting on our hands. We have been on the front lines. We will continue to be on the front lines. What Mr. Kessler has said, though ineloquent, proves no more false than it is true. We need aggressive action. We need to be decisive. We need to be ahead of them. And we are not. We are reactionary, and that is not the way that the Camarilla operates. We are steps ahead. Why are we not? Is the question that we should be asking ourselves. Is it because one of our own sought to influence his own wealth, his own power over the needs of the many? Or are there other bits of rot? Are there others? There are many things that need to be addressed.
Magdalena, I would like you to give me a roll here.
Yes, please.
So you're clearly speaking to the crowd, trying to get them on your side, trying to work them up. This is so up your alley, it's not even funny. I got
so many times.
I want you to give me a roll of leadership and charisma.
I look confused, by the way, when Maggie said ineloquent. I was like, I felt like I said that pretty good.
Yeah, man, it was great.
Should have been a Bruja in a different life, dude.
What would my
defense bullshit, guys?
what would my difficulty be for this? Just the one, since you didn't.
Just
specify?
do a 1 to see how good you get. So if you have 1 success, it'll pop up as a success, and then that is 6.
Ooh.
That is 6. There is a notable shift in how the crowd begins to behave when Maggie steps up to the plate like this. Early on, it's pretty cowed by the prince. Nobody really seems ready to do anything. They just seem to be... It seems to be like that kind of boss that everyone just kind of stops doing what they're doing when they're in the room because they want to avoid making him angry. Avoiding him seems to be the one thing that everyone does. When Maggie starts speaking, though, there's a notable difference in the vibe. When she mentions being on the front lines,
there are notable fucking werewolf.
There's a notable reaction.
It's on video. I want to say
it's on video. There's a notable reaction from Damien, from Rosa, from Giovanni, even, and.
I expected Giovanni, but
in this moment,
Rosa was really interesting.
I would also say, if you'll permit,
yeah,
I don't know if Prince is going to stop me, but my blood is taking over at this point. My beast. This is where this is where I'm at. So Maggie will continue and say, "I was there when London fell. I saw it happen, and the reason that I couldn't influence it is because none of the other elders would let me in. This city, so far, has not made that mistake. We all need to be together. And if there is reason that we shouldn't, I would entertain anyone here to speak it. What are we hiding from one another that cannot be said in this time of true crisis? I will put up everything that I have brought to this city, everything that I have built to see it stand another night. Will you all do the same?"
There isn't like half of a second before responses start coming. However, it's going on y'all's screens. I'm going to be popping up names as they're speaking. The first people that speak up, as I move Kevin Jackson over the side because he's just overseeing the shit, would be Bronwyn of Malkavian and Khalid of Nosferatu. They kind of step up together a little bit. Our network, Bronwyn Speaks, has been trying to get a bead on where they're coming from. It seems to be from multiple areas. We haven't really been able to pin anything down, but we can tell that they're definitely working with the poorer portions of the city. Cabrini Green makes sense. There's been a lot of weird out of there lately. Weird religious sort of things. We just put it down to New Year. You always get new crazies, but it seems like it's significantly more than that. After that, in response, Rosa Hernandez does step up. For the most part, my gangrel have been front lines. We've been out there fighting too. That's all we've been doing. That's why you keep us here. I can say that we've seen something, probably Sabbat, crawling their way out of Lake Michigan. That's where the downtown attack came from. A lot of people seem to forget that we don't have to breathe, and that is an angle of attack. So I've had my my men patrolling up and down the coast. I've taken out a fair number of them, at least 13. The others kind of just glance around at each other, looking as if there would be anything to add. Waits for a minute, but out of the back and out of the little bit of the shadows, Adrian Tars does step up. As one of the newest members of this city, I offer everything that I have. Myself and Persephone have been hunting. We've caught a few stragglers, but mostly they're just, what's the term? Shovelheads. We haven't locked down any true angle of attack yet. But we do have our eyes open and our feelers out there. And there's a pause. And nobody is really looking to Jackson at this point. They're looking at Maggie after that speech.
Maggie will continue as long as no one speaks up.
Nobody else does, for now.
The lake is a point of egress. It is definitely something that we need to watch. Not only is it an easy access point, but it is also one that is far closer to our heart than any other. Rosa, Miss Hernandez, apologies. I know that you are of the CAM, but have you considered working with the Baron Anita Wainwright on the outskirts of the city to bolster your defenses? There's a tenuous agreement at this time between the CAM and the Anarchs, as I'm sure you're aware, but if there's any facilitating that needs to be done, I'm more than happy to avail myself.
A couple of things happen when you start mentioning Anarchs in a positive light. Both the Ventru in the room, Jackson and Alan Sovereign, the Primogen, don't interrupt you, notably, but definitely fold arms and do pensive looks. Rosa Hernandez herself doesn't seem like she's, like, the idea bothers her at all, and she just kind of nods. Notably, however, one of the ones in the back, who had previously been listening to the proceedings and leaning up against a strut, arms folded, Marcel from the Ministry. For old-time players, that's the followers of Set, with new branding, because they do that.
Not to be confused with the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Kind of rolls his eyes at the mention of working with the Anarchs, and mutters in a low sense of, "Can't believe we've come this far." And he proceeds to leave the room. Kind of out the back, kind of like not crossing the main things, but definitely like starts walking out of the room unless anyone
Maggie
physically tries to stop him.
slams her foot down and activates her voice.
Okay. This is the hard stat.
Yes.
Okay.
There are bigger things than the bickerings between us. The Anarchs and the Cam, though we hate to spit the words from our mouth, are similar in that we all realize the importance of the masquerade. If you are willing, any of you are willing to throw that aside because of the petty squabblings, then you are not fit to be in this room anyway.
Two things happen from the NPCs.
I go,
but
"Ooh."
what does everyone else do? Are you doing that? Are you doing ooh?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
happening?
yep.
Okay. Jackson, weirdly, puts his chin up again and just says, "Well said." In agreement. Marcel, kind of halfway out of the room, looks back over his shoulder, looks around the assembled lot, snorts, and does, in fact, depart. Walks right out.
Perhaps there is more rot than we thought.
It should be noted that the other night when we fought on these front lines, the vampires against us, the Sabbat that came for us, employed interesting bits of magical expertise. I've heard tales of thin bloods and their abilities. And though I don't often like to paint anyone with broad brushes, it's interesting that that would be the first person to leave this council.
As you say that, one of the others does actually step up. One who you've not actually heard speak before. Nice low voice. The head of the Tremere, Abraham Desaad, walks up with his cane. If I may, what exactly did you see? That seems to be my purview. Maybe I can help.
Of course. Mr. DeSable, the vampire in question gained a form that was transparent. He floated above us, and he also attacked with some form of vitae-like tendril, sucking out this, well, no longer a ghoul, no longer a mortal, but he did attack my associate here. And it was not anything like I've seen before.
I might have seen something like that before. What you're speaking of is certainly blood sorcery, and unfortunately, quite an advanced state of it. The path of blood is not a rare path to walk in our circles.
the kindred also managed to attack me, and the damage that was done normally wouldn't have been more than a scratch, but it persisted.
Persisted. How so?
Yes. Well, it was more aggravated, you could say.
Was it done once and then the damage returned again later?
It appeared so, right?
Yep, that is
Okay.
what happened. In that case, you might have been, unfortunately, dealing with one of the Banu Hakim. That is one of their preferred techniques.
Very interesting indeed. It goes without saying, but we will be up against more of these. And if there's any more information, I would love to hear it. My coterie and I will need to be prepared for the battles we face, as will we all. More importantly, though, the resources that we share could make kingdoms fall. Let us share them.
Before he steps back, Abraham actually mentions, I do not have many Tremere at my disposal, but those that I do have are skilled with wards, and I feel that warding against kindred might be beneficial to many of our soldiers in the times come. Set up a location, a time to gather our forces, and I will see that we are more well armored against our own kind.
You have any knight and Nova at your disposal.
I will talk amongst my peers, and I will make it so. We can start as early as tomorrow night.
That would be excellent. Mercy, please make sure that you cancel any events that we have going and move them as needed. This takes the utmost priority.
Would you prefer? We'll talk about it later.
In lieu of someone speaking on behalf of the unincorporated clans, Mr. Giovanni, do you have any input that you would like to provide?
Giovanni steps up. There's a minute where he kind of like squares himself and takes a breath. Y'all know that vampires don't have to breathe. And everyone present who has probably seen this person before knows that this is kind of a big moment. It's like, try not to fuck it up.
I gave you your moment.
In 1812, my family and my clan made a promise to the Camarilla that we would not interfere in each other's affairs. That we would not promote one or the other, take a side, remain neutral, and that in turn we could largely simply be left alone. That is what my clan preferred in previous times. Things have changed. Not just in Chicago, but within our clan. We were fractured. the Giovanni, the Puttanesca, the Samedi, the Lamie. The Nagaraja. Lots of varying bloodlines. None of us saw eye to eye. Times have changed. We've had something of a family reunion, one would say. Previously, we had pulled out of Chicago to deal with our family squabbles, but we are quite firmly back in town, and I and my resources, both on this side of the veil and the other, are at your disposal. Let us know what you need to find. And believe me, there's very little good at finding things than a literal ghost. And if you need, half a dozen wise guys at a place, we can set that up too. A little bit of Chicago accent dips in there. Just a little bit. Jackson assesses. 1812 was a long time ago. Might be a good time to set up a new one. And they both kind of nod, and Giovanni steps back. Hernandez once again steps up. So, offensive. What's the plan? What are we doing? What are we hitting next? Do we have a coordination?
I'm going to Cabrini Green. That's where I'm going. We will report. We will keep everyone informed. But more than anything, if they are there, we will intervene. And we may call upon you for support. If we can, at any point, knock them off of their footing, if we can at any point gain the upper hand, we should take it, and I don't believe that we have any reason not to begin the offensive as soon as we possibly can.
Fantastic. Rosa kind of gestures over to the map in the middle of the room and gestures Maggie over and anyone else who would come. Those of you who are not actively engaged in conversation right now, so that would be James, Mercy, Roland, 6. Awareness and wits. Give me rolls. Basically, everyone who is not Maggie right now.
Maybe Maggie later.
Maybe Maggie later. Maggie's always a powerhouse, but she's always real low in the initiative order, so...
It's true. I'm the wrecking ball that comes up behind everyone else.
Yep.
Probably ball sex.
Those.
Where do you find holy ones? For mine, actually, yeah.
So that's
Keep in mind,
4.
you can do willpower reroll if you choose.
If you give yourself 1 superficial willpower damage, you can reroll up to 3 non-blood dice to try and get more successes if you want them.
What does that look like? How do I do that?
Click on, there
should be a willpower reroll. That's the problem with me not actually having a character in this game.
It's not. You actually just need to, up at the top left, you click on the little die, and you rename it reroll, and then you can roll for you, Mercy, 2.
Lovely.
2 more.
And then I take a half mark on a willpower?
Yep.
Half mark on your willpower, and then that adds to your overall, so that's 4 successes
So
for
that's
you.
four.
Would I
successes.
roll just one?
Yes, you would roll
Okay.
1. Because you got blood now.
You do have blood. And that is not actually a bestial failure either. It labeled it
No.
as such,
Yeah.
but you had a success. So
Yeah.
that's 3. That's 4. 1 for Roland, and James also
Hold
has
on. And another one for me.
another one, so 2. So Roland, more of a character of social nature and of mind. You're puzzling your way through this in dealing with being around a lot of other kindred that aren't fucking Annabelle. And
So I'm a little more comfortable. So
you're a little more comfortable, and you're really kind of seeing how, okay, this is how the politics of Chicago are working when she's not fucking around.
Yeah.
And that's going on. The rest of you, James, Mercy, and Six, something's going on. Those of you who got the 4, there is a brief sound of a thump above deck. And then those of you who rolled at least a 3, there is a smell that is a very unpleasant smell for vampire. It's not blood, it's smoke.
Can I identify the thump as? Can I tell like the weight of what I could surmise? Is it something?
Yeah,
that
it's a body.
My...
Someone hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Floor above.
So Maggie was moving forward.
I immediately, my hand goes to where my pistol is. I don't draw it or anything. I reach out to touch Maggie. I go, something's wrong upstairs, and I run towards it.
Okay.
Mercy less likely to throw herself into danger.
Do the same, actually.
We'll say it smells like smoke.
Out of the room quickly. So,
We might be under danger now.
within a second, because you kind of made a note that you're keeping an eye on him, James, instantly, from like a nice old revolver is drawn from the Giovanni. Definitely older in make.
How long has it been since what's his name? Ran away, Marcel.
It would have been the span of a conversation, so probably 5 minutes at the most.
Okay.
He left and you guys basically went fuck him and then started planning things.
Sure. So he left, we went fuck him, and then we were immediately under attack. Just noticing things.
Just want to make sure that everyone's clear on everything that's happening, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Few minutes,
As a point, when
the instant.
Giovanni moves to follow all of you upstairs, because he leaves the room eventually, Maggie, you do hear him say, I fucking knew it was him. When you get upstairs, there is a scene happening. There are so you're in the main area downstairs. You go upstairs and there's several tiers of boat on the outside. The first one that you go up to, you can see that several of the ghouls are leaning back against the wall with long arrowheads sticking from them. One of them, James being the first one to want to run upstairs, so you would have gotten there first just on in the personal initiative. You see one of the ghouls get hit with something that looks like an arrow, but there is a chain on the back of it, and you see him pulled from the deck. There are already flames starting to grow, and on the outside of the ship, I'm not even going to ask you for a perception roll because that would be silly at this point. On the outside, you see beginning to surround the spirit of Chicago, ships that are brightly labeled rescue. But you're fucking James Kessler. In those ships, you see several, lots of individuals with full black modern tack armor. vests, cargo, gloves, helmets, everything. Most of them seem to be holding rifles and crossbows.
Okay. All right. Am I aware if anybody is behind me or following me?
Behind you is Giovanni, Six, and Mercy. Did Mercy go up?
No, Mercy is
not?
hard fast attached to Maggie at this point. So wherever Maggie is, Mercy is there.
Okay, so it's just you and the two Hakata.
Okay. I yell. I bark back behind, like over my shoulder. While I'm gonna shoot in the direction of the boats. I'm not really intending to hit anything.
Okay, so you're strapped with because we didn't do this earlier. You're strapped with your full suite of weapons and shit.
No, just my 45. I'm not gonna bring a fucking tack shotgun to a fucking meeting with the prince, dude. I think that he would take offense to that.
He took offense to you.
He brought a sword, so...
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing I'm going to be sensitive about, right? Anyways.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
very fair.
All right, so my intention is purely just to make sound so that I can ramp everybody's awareness, right?
Okay.
But I bark back behind, towards Six. I say, Six, we're under attack. Six, we're under attack, and I take a couple shots. I'm not intending to hit anything, so I don't think I need to roll.
You're just making it clear that fire is being returned.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but are you trying to do like covering fire, sort of? Just enough to make them realize that they are under counter assault and to be defensive?
Yeah, so it's cover and also to inform people downstairs that there's conflict happening.
Mostly noise? Okay, let's make this not a roll then. You're just doing that. And, I have dice here. So, James is yelling, we're under attack.
Mercy says it smells of smoke.
Okay, cool. You see people on the boat that you're firing towards start to duck behind the railings. Giovanni does actually line up like right with you and like takes real slow aim and starts shooting too. It's just a pistol, but it's a loud pistol. It's definitely a revolver.
Nice.
Six, doing anything? Because you're in the action and can see it.
Did you say the boats were illuminated?
So they're brightly labeled as rescue boats. It's nighttime, so there are searchlights on all of the boats. There's at least 4 to 5 of them surrounding the Spirit of Chicago at this point.
I'm gonna start taking out all the lights.
You're going to start firing at the lights? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. That one I will ask you for a roll.
Yep.
Your usual firearms, if you get, let's go, since they're not really far off, I'll say 2 successes and you'll definitely start taking out at least 1 light as the conflict
Firearms
begins.
and composure?
Yep. That's your style.
Yep.
While she's doing that, downstairs, pandemonium has basically begun. Most of the non-combat oriented people are looking around and looking to see how the fuck they can get out of there.
I will immediately begin to shout orders if allowed.
1 second.
Can I use heightened senses?
Yeah.
Okay.
No reason not to. You've got vampire powers now. You should use them.
What was the difficulty?
2.
2.
2 for at least 1. Yeah, so you get a bunch because there's
nice.
criticals happening there.
Nice.
7. Yeah, so, like, I'm going to say, like, a whole boat is just, like, gone. And you, like, James hears Giovanni go, like, under his breath, like, that's why I hired her. As he starts shooting some more. Orders are being yelled down below. What's happening? What are you yelling?
Roland, stay with Bronwyn. Keep her safe. Mercy, you with them as well. Anyone who is not capable of interpersonal combat, stay below decks. We will soon be out of this. Jackson, is this boat anchored?
It is not. And he draws his sword. Before anything further goes on, Adrian Tars does step up and says, I can get at least one person out now, along with myself.
Very interesting.
I can't say anything because I'm not in the scene.
Take the sheriff. He's weakened.
There is a moment, and Tars looks at Damien, and he looks like he's like, but he nods anyways, like he's real unsure. But and Adrian Tars takes him by the shoulder, walks him over to the darkest corner of the room, and there is a...
Adrian, before you go, if there's
back.
anything that you can send back to us, please.
This is a one-way trip. I won't be able to come back.
Understandable.
And
Let's
the shadows
fucking rage!
The shadows kind of fill up the area, like full of tendrils, and then he and Damien step into them, and then they're both just gone.
I need a portable
Tar's gone.
DJ area
Damien.
just to hit the rage button.
That beat.
Drop.
Lots of things are going on, and Jackson glances over at Sovereign. Everyone who can't fight, remember, we don't breathe into the water. And he claps Alan Sovereign on the shoulder, and they both start heading towards out.
Anyone know how to drive a boat?
I could drive a car. How much harder could it be?
Mercy! Find the bridge and get us to shore.
Mercy moves to do so.
Several people start.
And Maggie's
heading
going
out.
to run up onto the deck as well. Opposite of where everybody else ran.
Fantastic. A lot of
Seems
people are
to be
heading
Broadway.
towards the deck to jump over the edge.
Can
You
I
guys are running the
activate?
other way.
Can I activate an ability?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm
It's
gonna
be popping in
activate
chat.
activate the toughness.
The toughness. Okay.
I don't get hungry.
Good
Yes.
for you.
Delicious.
At this point, the smoke is starting to get significantly heavier. Up on the top, it is visible. It is significantly larger than it was before. We're not talking like it's a small fire. There are active flames. And that means that the vampires...
We have to make checks, right?
You're going to start to have to make frenzy checks. So, where is my... I need to grab my DM screen really fast to find out exactly what the difficulty of this frenzy check is going to be. Because it's going to be a thing.
Bum bum bum.
We have issues.
Welcome to being a vampire. Good night for
Being a
a first run.
vampire, supernatural fears and shit. Where we at? There you are. Alright, so you guys are going to have to make frenzy checks with a difficulty of 3 because you're very isolated at this point, and it is the equivalent of being in a burning building. So there's a resist frenzy button. You all hit it, and your difficulty.
Are we all hitting
you're
it?
trying, the people who are up top. So that's actually going to be James 6 and Giovanni, actually.
Giovanni.
Because you're in not in flames, but you are near flames.
Does Defy Bane do anything?
That is your personal clan bane is not this.
Okay.
Okay.
Defy Bane, you can activate reflexively, but it requires a I believe survival and dexterity maybe to do it, and then it only negates aggravated damage. It wouldn't help you with frenzy.
Yep. So 2 and 2. You guys really want to not run? You're in the fight. You're ready to go. 6 is knocking out headlights on a boat like crazy. But your beasts are screaming in your ears of the one thing that can truly destroy a vampire: fire. It's a serious problem, and your beasts are screaming in your ears, and you actually do not have much of a choice but to run, as you are both at
really
2
Damn.
Instead of 3. You got to beat 3.
Very scary.
It is. So you have to run. How are you running? To get away from Zephyr. Right now,
so
it's
I'm
closer towards
basically
the
in
back
panic
of the
or
boat.
fleeing.
Yeah,
Where's the fire at?
the back end of the boat.
Do we know how it started?
You do not.
Do not.
If I can't do anything else, I'm just gonna move back down the way I came then.
Back towards everybody, so you'll be running
Yeah,
into Maggie as you go.
Yeah. I'm panicked, right? So I can't do anything else, right?
It's definitely a panic situation. It's full of emotion, and you got to get the fuck out of there. As controlled as you can. You almost beat it, but you didn't. So there's some level of control in running. Giovanni even looks like he's not having this. He's like, he does look at 6 like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, and moves to follow James. Uh-oh. Mercy's getting hungry doing something.
Mercy's trying to move very quickly.
Activating celerity.
Hey, DM.
Mm-hmm.
Did you change my hunger, or am I misinformed about how this works?
It should.
Oh, it does it automatically when you fail your check. Never mind.
Yeah, It's fancy now.
It is fancy. I was like, I was at 1. Why am I at 2? Okay.
Because you just failed and it did it. Yep.
Wow, systems that work for themselves is so nice.
It is fancy.
Okay, never mind.
One of my favorite things about Roll20. So is 6 rolling with everybody, moving together in a group? Or is she off doing her own thing?
Now you're scared of fire because you got our spooky blood.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you now. Down it.
There's a downside.
Bitch.
She is.
You could technically. Can you re-roll frenzy dice with willpower?
Frenzy, you can't re-roll with willpower.
No,
I
I
was
didn't think we
wondering.
would.
Yeah.
That is one of the few situations you can't.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
I think though. Now wait a minute. I think you can expend a willpower to pass a frenzy check. I'm vaguely remembering this. I think it cost. I think it might be an aggravated willpower though, and that might be why it's dangerous.
I'm gonna have to crack open a PDF to find out the answer to that. But everyone around you is running away. Let me crack open the books.
I wouldn't be able to use Unswayable Mind for this, would I?
That is against disciplines trying to
Disciplines. Okay.
get you.
Intimidation, all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm also searching for you.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Refer to the book. Willpower. Spending willpower. We roll up to 3 dice. So you can spend a point of willpower. Actually, yes. To take control of your character for 1 turn during a frenzy, or when in the influence of supernatural coercion such as dominance or presence. So basically, you could spend a willpower, and basically the equivalent of 1 turn, you can just kind of direct what you're going to do.
It's a gamble for sure.
Yep. Otherwise, you're just going to try and run.
Everybody else is running down below.
Yep.
Did we see how many boats there were?
There's like 5, and they're all around.
They're surrounding
You've essentially
us.
been surrounded. Yep. It's a bad situation. Thank you, handy PDF with bookmarks.
A lot of ghouls with earpieces being all flashy for this to have not noticed or communicated anything useful.
And
They all got harpooned.
some of them got harpooned. I will say, as you guys go down, you kind of are leaving the deck. You kind of see one of the things that happened. So I would say both James and Six would see as you head down. From one of the boats, you see a figure, again, full tack armor, a little bigger, with a grenade launcher.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Specifically, Six, you recognize that specific set of tack armor.
That the fucker who escaped.
It may or may not be the one whose you got the shotgun from.
Oh, that bitch! Oh, that
Who
bitch!
escaped.
Very specific tack armor. But he does fire at the lower portions of the ship towards the back, and the fire grows more.
Can I actually shoot at the grenade before it reaches the ship?
Oh my goodness.
That's gonna be like, so that is like a called shot. You're technically in a terror frenzy. So what you would have to do this, because this is awesome and I want it to happen. But to do this is a very, very, very hard thing to do. So first off, to even try to do this would be your one.
Burning that will.
You'd have to burn the willpower to even make the attempt to do this to defeat the beast.
One
then
dice.
You lose 1 willpower for even trying it. Take willpower damage to take control of yourself during frenzy. Then you would have to make basically an attack roll, and that's like you'd need like 10 successes. You'd need a crit or maybe a double crit to shoot a grenade in midair and blow it up before it hits the ship.
Okay.
You can try it.
Is that coming towards us or going toward the lower sections?
It's going towards the lower sections.
Where everybody else is?
Towards where the fire has already started.
Where the hires.
In the back, actually close to where the engines are, to basically get the fire to spread even more.
Same roll with firearms?
Yep. It's your usual.
Difficulty
10. Hard as shit. It's possible. It's just not easy.
It's possible.
So
it's just
I'd
we'll
have
see
to
what
be
the dice say.
I'd have to be really fucking lucky.
Spend a willpower.
You try.
I mean,
you can spend
burn
even more.
all the willpower.
See what you get.
Holy shit!
Holy shit! He fucking
That's
did it!
really close.
Holy shit!
Oh my god.
That's it! He done it! He got it!
It is a double crit. Is it a double crit? No, it's not a double crit, but it
It's
No,
not a
almost
single
is.
crit, but it's enough! That's 10 and 10, baby!
So,
You
Holy
shit! She is Judy. She is great.
You gotta be fucking shitting me.
She blew that grenade
Damn,
in
good.
his face.
so
Holy shit.
Newly a
Oh.
vampire was dangerous as fuck when she was a ghoul. What weapon are you using right here? This is just like your pistol, right?
Yeah.
Draws
Even
a
more impressive.
draws a pistol, and the shot is fired from the grenade launcher, and it doesn't go very far at all before it hits the grenade midair and explodes. Now, Six specifically would know exactly what kind of weapon this was as soon as it goes off, because it's a thermobaric grenade.
Oh,
bad.
motherfuckers.
Ooh.
And it kind of explodes in a spray of flame that actually makes the guy who fired it kind of cover himself and like duck back as some of the fire falls onto their boat. It's not like a direct hit or anything, and it's not like their boat is super damaged or like anything like that. But fire has fallen onto their boat, and it's starting to catch a little bit. So
Beautiful.
that is
That's the
what
most
you
baller
get to
move
do
I've ever seen,
before you fucking give in to your beast and just fucking bolt.
Yep. Yep.
Down
That was
below,
amazing.
down below, while that shit is going on, Mercy and Maggie and Roland and everybody are trying to get to the helm basically, and trying to get things going. By the time you get there, you realize you get to the controls. Nobody was on them, and you try and work them, and it's clear that the engines are basically stalled at this point. This boat isn't going to be driving anywhere anytime soon.
As a note, I was not following Mercy to the controls. I was heading up to the deck.
Oh, you're heading up to the deck. Okay. Well, you go up to the deck
Yes.
and you see 3 fighters making a break for it away from the fire, and you do see Six's bullshit fucking trick.
Beautiful. So the boats are around us, yeah?
There's 5 of them, yeah.
How close are they?
If you're asking me, well, gee, GM, are they within soaring leap distance?
Right. That's kind of what I'm asking.
Jesus.
I would say one foolish one. It probably
Oh,
is.
that foolish fucker. Maggie runs, and I don't know if anyone's there to witness it because you're all frenzy running away. But she puts one hand on the rail and like crushes it, and then pushes off from the boat and leaps to the other boat.
Reese says you're welcome.
Is this anything? Is this anything that Mercy can see from the helm?
I would say yeah, definitely. Like you go up to like the controls of the big fucking like audacious.
You would see my
steering
red
wheel,
jacket flying through the air
like
into the other
steering
boat.
wheel, and then there's like the windshield in front with like the front of the prow in front of you and the rail. You just see in your windshield, tink. Like, there she blows.
You fuckers didn't realize I move faster now.
So pretty.
So, everybody is running. Magdalena Masters is about to bring battle unto one of them. That's honestly, with that thing, we're probably going to settle it with a couple of quick rolls. It is getting relatively close to where we would normally end the evening, and it's getting to big cliffhanger points. So let's not end here. Let's get to a reasonable point with this, with a couple of quicker vignettes of what's going on. What is everybody still on the ship trying to do? What is your goals? And we'll figure out some roles to figure out how that's going to happen.
Mercy can see what's happening, but she's not near the fire, right? and she
Not near
technically
enough, but it is approaching. You feel that if you hang around too much longer, frenzy of fear will probably take you too.
and so that's behind her, right?
Correct.
So, we just talked about that big old windshield that those big cruise ships used to have. She's gonna just like jump up and through it up onto the thing, so she has like a better line of sight
Bust
down
through the
into
glass.
the lower, down to the lower ships.
Don't even need a
She's
roll.
got
That's
her
brouhaha
pistols.
shit.
Yeah, baby. And she will start firing at them from a vantage where she is not, in fact, likely to catch on fire. Yeah.
Okay. Yet. All right. So you're returning fire. I'm gonna have you, while I move to other players, make me a roll of firearms and composure, and then we'll see how that roll goes. Roland, how you doing, buddy? What's he trying to do?
Well, I was tasked with guarding Bronwyn, so I'm doing that.
Bronwyn is intending, because she and Khalid are seeing the way things are going, and they're going to jump the rail and try and swim away.
Okay.
So
is there any other ships that would possibly open fire on them?
There are who would try to.
Okay, so basically what I will do is I will shoot those ships from the deck.
Okay.
And trying to get them to focus on me.
Instead?
Hopefully giving them a chance.
All right, well, since you're using guns, what I'm going to have you do with that is, because you're not necessarily intending on killing any of them, I'm going to say...
I'll try. I'm not...
Okay. You can either give me firearms and composure to actively try and, like, murder the enemy, or you can try to lure their fire away from your charges with firearms, and I would either say manipulation or charisma, because you're trying to make it look good rather than them.
I will actually activate awe as well.
Okay.
See if I can get them to focus on me.
You can add
so we'll
your
do it that way.
Dice. Okay, you can add your additional dice because of awe.
So composure plus what?
Firearms, because you were using your gun. So that happened. Mercy got a one.
Nothing.
You got a nothing. You're still shooting. You're doing your thing.
Yeah.
While he's making his roll. James Kessler, you want to run. You want to get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? All the other vampires appear to be fleeing.
How much thinking can I do, or am I just in panic?
You are at the bare edge of panic. You are definitely in a situation where your beast is screaming at you to run, but you are not completely incapacitated. You can kind of direct it.
Sweet. I direct my panic towards the bridge.
Okay.
I decide I'm going to go to where the ship controls are.
Fantastic. In that case, you get there in time to see Mercy at the bridge jump through the fucking window and start shooting. You're charged to protect, which is something that you're not directly in sight of fire anymore, so the urge to defend because of your bond would be higher.
Yeah. Okay,
Ooh, wow.
I yell at Mercy, help me figure out a way to get this ship started, and I have an idea.
Uh-oh.
The ship started.
So that's happening.
Because it's stalled out, right? It's not on, right?
The engine is on fire. Like
Oh.
the
Fire is
propellers
ending.
are on fire.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're not moving at all. Okay.
I could get in the water and push. Kick my little feet.
Flutter kick.
As you think about that.
Okay, so you got a minute to think about it.
Yeah, give me a
Okay.
moment.
6. What is 6 intending on doing at this point? Because things are getting a little stressful. I think we're going to move from spooky to a little more, well, fuck. Let's figure out what the fuck is going on.
Are there any windows down below that I can shoot out of?
So, two things. One, when you go down below and you are out of the immediate sight of the fire, you're not technically in frenzy anymore, although it's still right in the back of your head, and when you get, if this progresses much further, it's going to happen again. But there's a bunch of windows that you can shoot out towards the front end of the ship, because the back end of the ship is quickly becoming all fire.
Yeah.
So yes, there are windows. What would you like to do with the window? Kill more people?
Kill more people.
Alright, in that case, I'm going to have you make your same roll of firearms and composure, just to keep it going. And then we will determine how that goes after that. So you're taking up shots.
Okay.
And I will say Antonius is with you and shooting with you.
Cool.
Okay, so I know what I'm going to do now.
Difficulty.
Just say difficulty 1, and we'll see what you get. So we'll jump back to James. What are you doing?
So instead of that, I didn't realize that the engines themselves were on fire.
Yep.
I yell at Mercy. Ship's on fire. We need to get out of here. Let's get people off this boat.
Okay. Heard. Mercy will look. Is there anybody coming towards the boat in the water? I mean, I know that we have people coming off. Is anybody coming towards us
Enemies?
in the water? Yes.
Like, the boats are what you see in the water, and also
No.
you see
Like,
the
if anybody.
shapes
So,
of people
if I were
who
the
have-
bad guy in the situation, who trapped a bunch of vampires on a burning ship, I'd have people in the water to get in the way, right? Because that's where the vampires are going. They don't have to breathe. So I want to know if there's anybody I can see in the water.
You see people who have been in the Primogen Council that jumped off the ship into the water and have started swimming and then started to dive low. That's it.
Sure. Okay.
That in boats. You don't see any conflict in the water from the bow of the ship.
Yet.
Yet.
This is round 1. As a point, the people that you see go into the water are Bronwyn and Khalid. So the Malkavian and the Nosferatu. You also see the Tremere guy with the cane. Just kind of like shove his cane into his belt and he dives in.
So then, in that case, Mercy is going to go for Sritas and attempt to help him get out safely.
So you're going to jump in the water?
Is he? He did not name
He's
him
getting
non-vampire.
ready to. He hasn't.
No,
jumped
she's
in.
just going to facilitate him getting there safely.
Okay, so how are you doing that?
She's going to go find him and escort him there
Oh,
with
I
the
got
fire.
you.
He has just made a path to the top where she can get out without reaching fire. She is going
Got it.
to
So you're going
show
to help
people
him.
that.
Right.
Yes,
So
specifically him.
So the quick vignette of how that is going to go. That doesn't need a roll, I should say. He is also of Bruja, so you go down like a deck below, and it takes a second, but you find him, and he looked like he had been slightly burned and was like in a corner, kind of like almost full vampire, like. And you take a second, you snap him out of it, and both of you and he, using celerity, moves at very high speed towards the front of the ship and flings off. Now, for probably my most fun thing, Maggie, let's just make this really simple. Whatever you would use for a up-close kind of attack roll, just make it, and we'll see what fucking happens.
Okay.
Because this is less like hard combat and more vignettes and ideas of what is happening. And then after Maggie, we'll move to the top of the next round.
Not only
Okay.
vampires fighting, the cats are fighting too.
Cats are fighting. That is a crit. 7. So,
Please tell me you ripped them in half.
How many murders do I make?
surprisingly less than you thought that you would. Several things happen from Maggie's perspective. You run, bend the rail, jump, land. Melee and strength, so the sword is out.
Yep.
doing his thing. What you see that you are involved with now. You have seen this before, but have never officially fully engaged in straight melee combat with this. This is literally the ghost of shit that happened in London. Two guys with guns. When you get close, they're actually crossbows, move to fight you. You strike them both down. You kill one and just wound the other. But there's at least 5 more on the boat, and very notably, on the patch on their shoulder, their black armor is a very white, obvious thing that is a sword with Roman numerals on it. It is very clearly the Second Inquisition. The vampire hunters.
Oh shit.
We knew this.
So how many more are on this boat with me?
There is about 5, I said. It's a
Okay.
whole thing. So, top of the next round. The fire spreads. Significantly. We had about maybe the back third of the boat that was on fire before. It is now past more than halfway on fire. A burning wreck. If people want to do anything other than just flee and jump off, we're going to have to make some rolls. Otherwise, it would be very easy just to allow the beast to terror frenzy your ass away from here.
There's a hydrate in chat.
Oh, it's hydrating chat.
Oh, hydrate.
Thank you, chat.
Wow, Soga. Wow.
I needed this.
And
Shit about that,
actually,
you.
I need to make a rouse check for somebody. Ooh, they get hungrier. So, a very pissed off looking Rosa Hernandez kicks out a window, looks back at whoever the fuck is nearby. I'm just gonna say it's 6 because you'd be about in the same area of the ship. Says, "Get the fuck out of here!" And there's a weird. It's a discipline you haven't really seen before. There's a weird shimmer over her, and her body, less in a movie kind of way. At one point, you're looking at a Native American woman who is pissed and not having a good time. Still has a little cigarette hanging out of her mouth. The next second, there's a loose cigarette falling in the air, and there is a really large raven on the deck that goes straight out flies straight out the broken window. So the rest of you that are on a ship,
So,
what the fuck are you doing?
what happened with the 2 that were escaped before me? Roman and whatever his name is.
Right, because you made your roll, and you made. Let me scroll back a little bit.
3.
You did. 3 is definitely enough, and you start. Fire starts coming your way. It's just very loose, automatic fire. You notice that it's silenced, but
Oh, fuck you guys.
nothing
All of
actually takes. You don't take damage. There's like maybe a stray bullet like hits you like very minorly, not in a way that would inconvenience a vampire too much.
Alright. If they've escaped, then I'm getting up. It's about at this point.
You jumping?
Yep.
Okay. You dive in. You go. Cool. That's rolling. You don't have
Swim.
to make a roll.
Swim to the bottom. Use celerity. Swim. Swims.
Fantastic.
Just
You're
keep
in the water.
swimming. Just
Good
keep
enough.
swimming.
So let's go to James next.
Yeah. Mercy is Mercy still near me, or she's gone again?
So I'm going to say if you want to have stayed with her, you can.
Okay, yeah, cool. I kind of, as we're running, I say we gotta get off this boat, and I kind of try to, hopefully, she'll like run with me to like the nearest exit so we can get off the boat.
There's a boat with no lights. there's a boat on fire, and there is a boat with a very terrifying and focal point of Maggie on it.
Yep.
Where are these in relation to each other and to the boat that to like the prow?
Tell me the directions I don't want to run in.
I would say.
I kind of think actually if the dark boat and the Maggie boat are side by side, we should go in between them, honestly.
That is a possibility. So yes, you could do that.
That's what I think we should do. I think we should aim between those and down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be in the dark and the other ones are distracted.
There's a lot of good distractions going on.
Yeah.
So okay, you guys doing that? Jumping into the water, going. Okay. 6. You're the last one on the boat with Antonius. He looks at you and like, you need to get the fuck out of here.
Agreed.
Let's make sure the young ones get out all right. And
Yeah.
he goes to lead you, if you follow, to basically the same path that Mercy and James went on. So it's a good point of escape, and you go. All right, so we're going to do a couple of things here. First off, as everybody jumps, the boat ain't doing great right now. And we have a couple short vignettes to deal with here. For 6, Mercy and James, along with Antonius, your swim goes about as good as can be. There's a point with a searchlight that goes right between you, but doesn't spot you and keeps going. As I narrate this, I'm just gonna, Maggie, make the same roll you just made again. See how that goes that way. Just do it again.
Has anybody hurt me yet?
No. No.
Don't be
This is a vignette. And
I
you're-
want to get hurt. It makes me stronger.
You know what? Fine. Well, I'll have
How do you
one-
feel about emotional damage?
Hurt me.
Emotional
Emotional
damage. I'm gonna do. Let's say.
I'm fighting 5 Inquisition guys.
Fighting
Somebody's
5 guys.
gotta hurt me a little bit.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I will throw at you.
And right before they start to like realize that I jumped and killed somebody on their boat, I'm gonna put my hands up and go, "No, please, we don't want any witnesses." And that's when they're
Fantastic. Let's see. They tried. 4 dice. Somebody tries to shoot you with a shotgun.
It's just rude.
I'll just take it. I want to just take it.
All right. So you get shot with a shotgun as you mow down other people. From
Now she's gonna bitch about her clothes.
Right?
From
car
your
right over the
perspective, the battle that you're dealing with isn't very much of a problem, but you do see off to the side of one of the other ships, you do see a pretty bad sight in that. And another ship, that is too far away from you to do a soaring leap, but not too far for you to see. You see being hauled out of the water on one of those chains, impaled through the front, is Alan Sovereign. Going up over the edge and being hauled into a boat full of hunters.
Can I? So these rescue boats are smaller, right? I want to drive my boat into that boat.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do too.
Roland, the first
Yes.
one who was in the water, you see something very different happen.
Oh.
You see, let me make sure that I'm displaying this shit the way I should be.
No.
You see as you dove in the water and you're trying to head out, underwater that left, you do see. Did it pop up? Probably
Yep.
not.
Son of a
The
bitch.
prince?
I asked
Prince?
about this.
Kevin Jackson.
Uh huh.
That is underwater, sword in hand.
Punching holes in the bottom of the boat.
Punching holes in
Yeah, that's
the
what I'm
bottom of the boat.
expecting him to do.
He looks he notably has like a slash across his face, like a 4. And he looks up at you briefly and gives you kind of one of these, because you can't talk underwater. You don't have to breathe, but you can't speak either. A very clear, get
Go.
out of here motion. And then, from below, out of the black, as I edit it so that people can actually see what I'm talking about. A figure comes up out of the black and grabs him, and you see it for a hot second. And it's bad. It's real bad.
What the fuck?
Oh no! Fuck.
Happiness.
And you see,
Give it a
for
big
the
ol'
first
hug,
time
it's cuddly.
anybody has seen on Kevin Jackson's face anything beyond smug, superior, authoritarian smile. You see a hint of brief fear. And then he's pulled down into the black.
Shit.
And I feel more like that's actually closer to the point we're probably going to be finishing up for the night.
Oh fuck!
I knew it! I mean, I didn't know it was gonna be a freaking creature of the deep. But I knew jumping in the water was also a bad plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the only option. It had to be a trap.
Maggie just didn't want to get wet, so we're on a boat still.
I'm on a
That's fair.
boat. I'm on a boat.
That's fair. All these fucking tabs open.
Ah.
So,
Would
a
Six
hell of a
have
night.
seen which boat, would Six have seen which boat Maggie had jumped on?
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
This is all going to be a fun, brief in-between vignettes that I'll be letting you guys write in between, because next time we're going to pick up pretty much right after this. It's not going to be too much longer before we deal with getting to shore.
You're not gonna see my badassery unfold.
No, I think they can imagine it at this point.
Maggie murders everybody on this boat, and I want to try and save Alan. That's what I'm gonna try and do.
We'll
Yeah.
make
I don't
some
know. He
rolls.
looks kind of like a dick. I'm just saying.
We'll make some rolls.
Taggart's
Blood
boat
of
isn't
my
the
blood.
one. Taggart's boat wasn't the one that was picking up Alan, right?
It was not.
Okay.
Hate it here.
So,
I love it here.
I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's Chicago by Night. Things are very much in a state of change.
How much damage did that shotgun do?
None. You have toughness activated. What?
It should have thrown 4 your way if you hadn't done
yeah.
anything.
4 isn't enough. It's always 1. If it's
You got
if it's less
one-
than
1 superficial damage, then
yeah, if it's less than, let's see, I think 10 superficial damage, it is 1, and anything above 10 damage is where I actually start to take multiple numbers of damage.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's silly.
You're a monster.
I try to be. Yes.
You are
That's the
monsters.
point.
You're all
Indeed.
monsters, and if there was any question whether or not war was at hand, it is.
I don't think there was ever any question. I'll be clear.
So thank you, fuckers.
Hey! So the Princeton just opened up. That's easier than I thought it'd be.
Hey!
So,
Also,
that happened differently, but it still achieved the same goal.
so
You do! Yeah.
last of the bookkeeping stuff, because we're picking up right where we left off. No
No
downtimes this week, so no 1 XP. But good news, you survived another game, so you get 2 XP.
Yay!
Yay! But we can't spend it because we're in the middle of a fight.
Depends on what you spend it on. Not disciplines.
So you say we get 3? What was that? 5?
I heard 7.
Yeah, I heard 7.
I hate it here. I hate
42?
it here.
42.
But that's tonight's Chicago by Night. It's
No, but seriously, what do you say?
getting very close to what we would deem the end game, but we're getting there. So thank you all for hanging out and watching some silly vampire politics. Again, if you're on the VOD, don't fucking worry about this. But everyone watching live, silly vampire politics, ha. Go vote tomorrow morning.
Go vote.
Go vote. And that's the last shit I'm gonna say on it. But thank you for joining us.
Maggie, 2022.
For Prince.